I like that it gives me an option to leave. It's like it's live. You want to go? Run.
Run! Run, you fools. All right. Well, welcome to Talk About Paint Club. I'm your host, Rick Strohmeyer, and I have a paper cut along with my delightful co-host.
Matt Hatchers and I have cat cuts on this part. She got mad last night because like there's a cat in the window and I heard her going like "Meow, meow, meow." So I went to go get her and she was like at me like all pissed and she just went nails in the tatas. That's why when guys are like, look at what my cat did and shows me their arm, I'm like, yeah, well, wait until you get it right in the boob.
Right. Like one of the I'm going off topic already, but like one of my biggest pet peeves about the internet is when people show off their wounds and they're like, look what happened to me. And I'm like, yeah, you should have been applying first aid instead of pulling out your phone and look at that gushing. My life force is gushing out.
Right?
So like,
so weird. Such a weird
our
flex.
good buddy Dom shared a picture of him doing that, but he didn't. He was showing after he had applied first aid, and I was like, good for you, Dom. Like, way to make sure you're taken care of first. And like you see people who like spill paint or ink or milk or whatever, and they're like, oh no, I can't believe I did this. Right? Yeah, now if your house smells of shit milk, it's because you took more time to.
Right?
Yeah.
Or like that ink is setting in very nicely into your carpet, jackass.
Right. Yeah. So like, yeah. All right. Well, oops, I did this early, but anyway. So yeah. So what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, tea/coffee/ I'm dying still. So
I've got Northern Craft Soda, black cherry.
I need to try sodas. You know what? I say that and I'm not gonna like it. Let me just stop. I've never had soda and I always say like I want to try it. Like I want to try kinds of soda.
All right.
But I'm a liar.
Well, I'll bring you one for 5. I'll bring you some soda for 5 points. Sugary good soda.
I'll probably like take a sip of it and tell you how much I dislike it and then hand it to you.
Well, there you go. Well, I'll make sure I have a mixer to go with it. And there you go.
Deal.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So we'll figure out like the proper flavor and bring in some homegrown soda. It should be cool. All right. So meanwhile, back at the original story. Yeah. So we've been off for 2 weeks thanks to Thanksgiving, and probably do a little Thanksgiving wrap up later. So we got our homework going on. The homework this break was to incorporate something you don't normally do, and that was pretty cool. Or do something you don't normally do, and mine is I have 2, and neither one is completed.
That's so funny. Oh my god, me too.
Right. So like,
I have 2 things that aren't finished, but I still.
I was like, oh, we had 2 extra days because we got a rain delay, and yeah, I mean, no.
Rick is so nice. He calls rain delays the days where I feel like ass cheeks.
Well, I figured like we should have like some code, like rain delays were when Nicole is sick, and like something else when it's technical difficulties, or like, I don't know. We've been doing this for a year, and I haven't figured out the pattern yet. Maybe we'll just say, oh, new running joke. I don't know. So
I think rain delay is good for when I'm sick, since that happens pretty decently. And then technical difficulties is like when I literally can't function, like when I can't move because something's hurting. Like if my foot is shot, well, my foot has nothing to do with this, but like if my back is shot or my head is hurting.
Okay, some physical impairment.
Yeah, because it literally is a technical difficulty.
Okay.
It's
Well, there we
like
go. We'll try and
you're in
run
the
with that.
Matrix and it's glitching.
We'll run with that. So if you're watching this episode, you'll have the key, and if you never watch this one, you will never know.
You'll never, yeah.
Okay.
You'll just think that we actually had rain delays in technical.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody one day is going to be like, what the fuck does the rain have to do with your podcast?
Yeah, freaking rain. That's what it does. All right. So let's see. So I have part of my project I can show you for the homework. It could either be done for what have you been doing lately, but I'll just transition into this. And like, so once upon a long time ago when I was in college, my student show, I had like, I was doing a newsprint or newsprint wallpaper graffiti with some guys, and only putting it on stuff that we were allowed to. Okay. And so on my show, I ended up doing like a wall of the gallery with all these like graphics that were printed up to be like faux warning labels, and then just like a lot of my proofs, because you print your proofs on newsprint, and I just covered the whole wall in this. So I decided that I have a container from Martian Toys that I was gonna just weather up and show time, and I was like, oh, let's do that, and so I was making up like little posters like that, and I had some actual technical difficulties. The first concept was to print them on to get newsprint that would for the laser printer, because it won't bleed, and the newsprint kept and I got it the right 8.5 by 11 size, and the newsprint kept jamming up my printer. So this is on actual printer paper, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the hack to make this look more like that? Because I wanted it to be like as non-archival as possible, so it would weather on its own,
Yeah.
age on its own. And so like after my paper jam, it ended up like jacking up the registration of the color. So something like this, you can see like the magenta is off a little, which kind of gives it that nice offset from like if it was poorly screen printed. So I kind of like it, but it was super unintentional. But I have like I had a running gag for this one, which was like one side would be don't feed the animals, and then the other side would see please feed the animals. So like I made like one with a Metro, yeah. And so I was like, okay, so I made a Metroid, a shark, and I had a mushroom that I didn't totally enjoy. So like, yeah, they were just like fun things that
I love those. Those are cute.
thank you. That like, I think for that I want to do captured as a time lapse video as well. So like, I just haven't figured out how I want to just like start shooting it as a video too, and that's just like been one of those delays for this project. And then the other one is because I have another YouTube channel that I haven't added any content to for like 2 years or year and a half, since right before we went to lockdown. And it's not because of lockdown, it's just like whatever hurdle in my life, I just kind of stopped putting content on there. But I really like doing, I had like 1 or 2 time-lapse videos on there that I really liked doing. And I was like, well, let's just do some more time-lapse videos. And I have the footage of a king corpse I painted. And so I was like, okay, well, let's assemble this video. And on a lot of my other videos, I have like sounds that I've got that are like not public domain, but license free. You just have to give credit to the site that you get it from. And part of my problem is like I'm really bad at giving credit out when credit's due. And so like there's been a couple videos where I've like uploaded it, forgot to do it, and then deleted it to re-upload it so I could put the credit in there. And so I was like, well, let's try and make a lo-fi loop for the time that the process video was actually going on. So that's what I made, and I don't have a bit for it to share, but I made like a lo-fi soundtrack for that. And I was like, that's, you know, it was pretty cool. Just made with a bunch of loops on GarageBand. And like I got the idea by watching somebody else showing how they do MIDIs and stuff on their YouTube channel. And I was like, all right, well, let's try this. And it's not like, ooh, it's a great masterpiece, but it works for what I need at the moment. And I'm like, well, they can only get better. It can't get any worse. So and after I made it, I was like, oh, one of the music teachers at work was giving me some pointers and some other ways of handling GarageBand. I'm like, well, this is where it is.
I'd like.
Oh yeah.
You have to send me the link.
I will when I get it set up. So I'm hoping like before the new year to at least have one new video up on that channel, if not two. So, and I think like the discipline is going to be to try and do like have at least one video a month. It's like I am not like the let's make a content video a week kind of guy.
Yeah, no.
And it's also like, and my setup is different than what I see other people doing, and that's fine because like different is good. But I also like when I go to 5 points and I have a display, I was thinking like I'd like to run like all my time lapse videos on an iPad on display and stuff.
So
just
cool.
Like something eye catching.
Yeah.
So
that'll be fun.
And if the toys should happen to be there, like, hey, cool, look, I'll give you one of the video for that there. So like,
you want to see how I made your toy? Hold on.
You bet. Yeah. So that's
I like that.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, thank you. So there you go. What you got for us, Nicole?
Well, it could. Wait, am I doing homework or whatever? Because it's both.
Well, yeah. So you wanna do your homework and then we'll just jump back and forth, or I could like just talk for the next 10 minutes of what I've got going on. So there's a lot.
Yeah, whatever.
And like so, like I primed a shit ton of stuff. Like I primed. I do have one unprimed. I got a hold of one of these guys from Martian Toys, the blocks.
I want another one. Did you see mine mine disappeared?
No.
I sent it to Complex and it never got delivered. And I was like, well, I hope it shows up eventually because that was one of those pieces that I was like, I love this so much. I hope it doesn't sell so I can keep it. And then and I was like, I didn't mean for it not to sell, like, get lost, asshole.
Right. Well, that's the universe listening.
I love it. It's such a fucking diverse platform.
Wow. So I'm excited to paint mine. They got primed a few days ago and they're like sitting downstairs waiting to be sprayed. And like, I have some cool ideas. Things have been drawn out and I'm pretty excited. I ordered 2 of them. So it means a good number of paints going on. I've got 2 unicornos over there that are being worked on. I primed a Funko Godzilla because like it's a Godzilla. Oh, and then let's see. I'm going to share my screen because I actually do have pictures of stuff.
I almost sent you the link for the Mondo figure the other day, and I was like,
"Oh, you could."
But you already got it.
Yeah, but I would, like, yeah, we'll talk later. Okay, so let's see. Sorry. Where am I? Here we go. All right. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Here we go.
It's okay.
All right. We're on a screen share. We got. So I had the Money Talks dude that I finally got finished. I've been showing for like past 3 months where I had like the green and then it was fun after last time we talked. I figured out like how I wanted to finish it and all, and just and did. So like there's the black light.
Yo, look at him.
So like I was really pleased with this, and I will probably for 5 points paint like a couple more or a couple variants of like
Yo.
not a neon green one. So I'll be doing like different colors of the floor neon rainbow.
I love where the like the little pickup, or not little, but where the pickups of the fluorescent are.
Thank you. So
Like,
like
yes, I was gonna say it looks so like spooky, but not in a
thank you.
not in a like a creepy way. It's like spooky in a attractive way. Where
Right.
you're
It's
like,
got that Scooby Doo vibe to it, and I'm really
yes, like I was gonna say an old timey cartoon spooky.
like
Sorry,
I'm
someone's
really
trying to call
pleased
me.
with
Someone was
that.
trying to call me and I denied it. It was a spam call telling me that my insurance is warranty or whatever.
Well, you know, I was just offered a forgiveness on my student loan, and like, oh, that's cool. All right, so this is the Pup Pup, my own platform that's going to the gift wrap show for Clutter next week, and I'm pretty pleased the way the metallics came out on that guy. There's a side view. And then this is my ugly sweater piece for Robin's Nest Collectibles that just happened yesterday. And yeah, so my ugly sweater is a Bob Ross painting that he's wearing, and yeah.
I still like what you and I were saying of like how I said mine's a little naughty and you're like mine's wholesome, and I was like, if there's no way, if there's literally no way to describe like the yin and the yang that we are, it would be based on like our art styles.
Oh, there you go.
I just sent you a picture of or another thing to add to your show and tell for me.
Okay, well, let's get that thrown out. And all right, let's put that.
I have this song stuck in my head from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because people doing like, oh my god, stop! Once I don't answer one spam call, they all start calling at the same time. Well, because if you deny it, I think what happens is they use the new generated number and then they try to call right back. If you let it ring through, it's fine. But if I let it ring through, it would block our video. So I hit deny, and then it's like, oh, it's going to call you right back. Okay. But this show, it's people are using it on Reels, saying how like you don't have like people who don't really have friends, and I'm like, it's stuck in my head all day now. Like this girl saying like I definitely have friends, and there's like two people going like, yeah. So now that's stuck in my head, like, here are my friends, you and my cat.
I am actually having technical difficulties. You just can't see it.
What did you break?
Well, I don't, for whatever reason, my iPad's not charging. But I just use my iPad for this so that I can. There it is. All right. Have you tried plugging it in and out? All right. There you go. That's working. Anyway, okay.
I love when they ask stupid things like that, where it's like when I used to work corporate and IT would be like, have you restarted the computer? I'm like, don't make me murder you. Like, if you're going to ask me something stupid like that, like the conversation's done.
And then I'm going to turn the camera a little and be like, oh yeah, there you go. We're upside down. So I finished this last night.
He's so cool.
My first CanBot that I've ever painted. And I went with a little bit of a simple design, but I was like, let's same ideas going on to some Snailians. And I was like, well, let's paint it on this and then see how I like it when I do something for something smaller. So pretty pleased. It only takes 7 colors. It only has 7 colors on it.
I thought you were saying it only took 7 layers. I'm like, dear
no,
God.
7 colors. So like 2 types of silver. The red is actually 2 types of red because it's got a burnt red on it that I really like. I was like, oh, I'm going to use this. And then all of a sudden, like it got sprayed with neon pink. So it turned it a little more fire engine red. and the white, and then the yellow or the blend is just basic. It was all painted at one time, and then everything else was painted around it. So I'm pretty pleased about that. Like, I'll varnish it tomorrow or the next day, and then it'll go online later. But I wanted to show this as like these guys as a post Thanksgiving thing. So Alicia's family does or did exchange gifts, and I was like, I haven't gotten your gift yet. But she's like, that's fine.
They exchange gifts on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, because she won't be seeing. She's not sure when she'll get to see them again, which is
okay. Well, that's
it's fair. So like, I got these. She got me these guys from a dude from Greece who's a big sculptor and resin caster named George. Oh gosh, so
Stephanopoulos.
Zogozidis. I'll put his link on Instagram or for Instagram because like I cannot pronounce that. I'm very sorry. But so he has a series of pumpkins, and Alicia bought me one series of the pumpkins. So like, here's one of these little adorable dudes. Actually, I need to.
He's a derpy baby. I love him.
He's a derpy baby, and he's awesome. And I'm rearranging windows right now, so in case I see messages in the chat, I'll know. So yeah, little derpy baby. He is. This is the smallest of the bunch. It stands about 1.5 inches tall from the base to the stem. Yeah. And it's probably the smallest thing I'll want to paint for a while. And then this is the bigger one. He's like a frowny face Magoo, which I love this dude. And because Alicia's cabin has like a troll motif, I will probably paint this up. And
reminds me of somebody from Dark Crystal.
Right on. Yeah, it's got that Henson vibe for sure. And so there's another one. It's a little more like a little goat demon dude. But this guy's resin are what's cleaner than clean, immaculate. And I would just like, I mean, there's a couple places where like the mold broke off. Look at the little worm in that dude's mouth. This is like freaking cool. This is my favorite pumpkin. It's got like 6 eyes on it, which there you go. It's all me. And then she got me this like Cthulhu slug, which derpy little dude.
Oh, that's so cool. That's all you.
This has like, it's, yeah. And yeah.
Are you going to paint them or leave them?
Yes. So like, he autographed everything. All right. So he signed his resin casts, which is cool. But you know, when I paint them, I will sign them too. But because he signed them, that means I can't clean them with alcohol or it'll wipe right off. So I get to clean these with Dawn and a toothbrush, which is fine, but it just means it'll take a little longer to wash and to dry. But I want to preserve that signature.
Well, can you take an alcohol pad?
Well, no, because I'll scrub the whole damn thing, even the bottom. So, yeah. Anyway, this weekend I'll clean them up. It'll look cool. So yeah, it's those guys, and then I guess so we're playing catch up for 2 weeks ago. I got to show this one other thing, which I know we've seen thanks to the joys of it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on, guys. I got this right before Thanksgiving, the Ray Harryhausen Medusa bust.
Oh shit.
I haven't painted it yet, but it's life size. So it's the beer can is for scale. But yeah, the owner called me up. He said, "Oh, we just got him in. Do you want to pick it up?" And I said, "Sure." And I was like, this is right before Thanksgiving, and got scooped up. So I'm super pleased that it finally came in. And it's rotocast, so it's
wow.
incredibly light. You can see like some of the snakes are pegged in or keyed in. So I'm going to magnetize those sockets. So I'm not, I do not have a lot of proficiency or efficiency in doing it. So I'm just like, there's no rush. This is not meant for anybody. So there's not a timetable. So I can modify it and paint it at my own leisure. And of course, probably the way things will happen is by the time I feel like wanting to paint it, I'll be bombarded with everything else.
Of course.
The coolest thing would be paint it up and have it at 5 points, but there's no reason that like transporting it is not going to be an issue, but like it's not going to sell there.
You don't know that yet.
I'm going to be a realist. Like nobody's going to go to Brooklyn to pick up a life-size Medusa bust. But if they want to. And I got this cool T-Rex that needs a little.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that's solid resin. Like, apparently this break was all about resin.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, Nicole, take us into your segment.
Where am I starting?
Homework, or what have you done lately?
I mean, it's the same thing. So, or
it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah. So for the homework, I did 2 different things, and this is like 1/3 finished because I did it with the skull. So let's talk through the eye here. So this is called, oh shit, what, like I did it in 3 different spots, 1, 2, 3, to kind of make it like a geode. I forgot what oh my god, what is the medium called? Hold on, I brought it over here. I've never used it like ever until this. But I always I had it and I always wanted to. Okay. Clear granular gel.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna like dot it with alcohol ink so it still looks like clear, but like looks like an amethyst. This is light modeling paste, and this is spray paint, and I never use my actual spray paints for I usually hand paint stuff unless it's primed. That was like new for me to paint the whole thing with spray paint, which then I got in trouble for because I leaned at it. I don't have a spray booth, which is now in the talks. I got yelled at because my stepdad's my landlord, and he's like, I don't appreciate the black spray paint on my garbage receptacles outside. And I'm like, and like I leaned it up against, like, we have this like plastic thing to put the garbage like bins in.
Yeah.
And I leaned it up against that, and I'm thinking, like, would you rather it in the grass?
Yeah.
Because I used
like that.
Well, because I used to do in the grass in my last apartment, and then my landlord was like, why is there a rainbow in my grass? And I was like, oh my God. So my brain instinctually has been trained to be like, don't put it in the grass.
So tip for you there, just have a big ass sheet of cardboard on hand.
Yeah, well, we learned that now.
Like I said,
I used to always, but like here I've like cleaned up so much stuff, but I'm gonna make a spray booth because it's too cold now.
Mm-hmm.
So the spiel. So I'm gonna finish this off. I'm gonna finish this off by Saturday to show it off.
Okay.
And our thing. Because I'm gonna add the rest of the because I have a bunch of mediums that I want to work with that I haven't before. And then another thing that I did was, so like I've resin casted before. I made silicone molds before. What I've never done is sculpted something out of like clay on my own.
Okay.
And then make a mold for something that I need it for. So sure. I was like, okay, let's do it. So I made like a few little, cup molds for, this is a Christmas cookie one. So it has like the cookie, has like a tree, and it has a gingerbread. And then there's another one, but I grabbed the wrong one. I made like the cookie one like 5 times over just so I could like pop out a bunch of cookies. But I made like different swirls for like lollipops, candy canes, like peppermints to paint and all that, little marshmallows. So it was kind
Are
of
those
cool.
smoother, or do they have is it a smoother rough or resin that you use?
So it's smooth, but then like, you know, obviously up here it's like rough where I started like cleaning off like the edges of the extra like pour over or anything that like leaked over. But it's like it's the Illuminate like shit that you can get at Michael's, just so I can make it quick.
Oh. Okay.
So I made like a bunch of little cookies, and I'm gonna pour a white resin into these like shot glasses so it looks like cookies and milk, and I'm gonna tilt it as it's curing so it pours out and it sets flat, and then these will be like swimming in the milk. So that was something that I did that was like working with something that I normally use, but doing it in a way that I haven't used, because I don't usually use polymer clay since it's not very like strong or, you know, archival or anything like that. But you know, I made my little guys ahead of time, and you know, baked them in the oven, cut out like I did a cut mold a little different. What I did is I cut off the top part of it, and I hot glued I'm like going like the sipping spot, the rim. I hot glued the rim down to like wax paper, and obviously on something sturdy, but I hot glued it down, and then I poured the silicone like slowly over it, and I brushed it over so it would get all the nooks first, since like I wasn't going to vacuum chamber this one. And you know, poured like, you know, the 2 inches or whatever it was on it, and waited the next day, popped those little bitches out.
How long does it take for silicone to set?
This one is 24 hours.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
This one, but I know that there's other ones that it's just the one that I had that my friend, like when my friend started making silicone molds, not molds, but like selling the silicone also, I was like, okay, let me support her. And I hadn't used it yet. So you can only go a certain depth too. So I can't really use it for like toys and whatnot, just more like flatter pieces. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just make a bunch of like these little disc joints like for this. And then if I need like little accessories for my guys, I could just do a quick little like sculpt now that I know I can. So I did that. And then I didn't make this, but I did buy this. I got this made for me. It's my logo that Imprime made for me. And it's a little cool rubber stamp. So all of my packages will be stamped with.
That's cool.
And it's Connecticut made. So it was super cool. Like, because Prime's in Connecticut. And the person who referred me to them, she's in Connecticut. So it was like a square of Connecticuts. Is that what we're called? Connecticuts? Sounds terrible. But because he made this for me like Connecticutians. It was kind of dope, like that they got all this like detail up in that shit.
That's cool. I've been wanting to make a stamp of mine.
I'll send you to Etsy. It was only $28 for that and an ink pad. And an ink pad.
Okay.
And I like that it has the handle instead of like, you know, the wooden block ones. Where I like this too.
Okay. Yeah,
also
send me that link.
Kind of like going.
There you go.
And then you have the pictures of the other stuff that I worked on.
Yes, I do. Are we ready? We're ready.
Yeah.
Let's get ready. All right. Screen share. Got the Medusa.
Which one are you doing? We'll see which one's first.
We'll do this.
Okay. So did you ever see the SNL skit for where they did Celebrity Jeopardy, and Sean Connery said, I'll take Le Tits now for 800, Alex. Yeah. So that's where this came from. Because like I've never
Okay.
actually owned like an ugly Le Tits now. And you could read it in so many different ways with the way that I did the crossword. And I love that.
Oh.
Because like either if you have seen the skit, you know it's Le Tits now. If you haven't, people think it says Le Tits Snow. So you still see tits.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you think it says let tits snow.
Yeah, no, okay, that's funny. All
So
right.
you can see it like in a bunch of different ways, but like I never owned an ugly Christmas sweater. And every time I think of that shit, I always think of, I'll take Le Tits now for 800. I don't know why, but he needed a booty flap. And that was the naughty part, that when I was saying to you, oh, mine's a little naughty. So he's got his little butt hanging out the back.
So this is funny because like one of the other Celebrity Jeopardies that he like misreads is anal bum cover.
Yeah, anal.
And
thank
it's like,
you.
no, it's an album cover.
I'll so glad that you. Oh my god, thank you somebody understands my fucking terrible humor. Okay, great.
Right.
We are on
swords for 1,000. That's S words. Saber.
That it's let it snow. No, it means in French it means the tits now. Or whatever he says. Oh my god. So that was my ugly Christmas sweater contribution, was a cookie cat, a holiday cookie cat that has his booty hanging out with le tits now. It's like a little hidden, like,
that's funny.
Gross. And I made the booty flap like a little raised too, so that's sculpted like just a smidge, so like it felt like an extra piece of like fabric hanging down.
Okay. And then finally,
that's it. Okay, so thanks to Mr. Mento, he has sculpted out my bullet with butterfly wings to be printed and 3D he rendered it for me, and it's going to be here soonish. It's very, very thin wings, which I'm super stoked about, so it's not going to be like hard for it to stand.
I made a bullet on Nomad like a couple months ago, and waiting for my brother said he would print it for me, and I'm like still waiting on that.
Are you happy to see that there are different pieces to it?
That's cool.
So I'm trying to get the wings to be separate and then the bullet itself to be separate. So the bullet can be interchangeable, and then like eventually like maybe I can make different wings, like how my my Complex Con wall, it on one side it had the bullet with the butterfly wing, and then but one of the wings was made out of flowers. So like eventually I can make other type like wings to interlock in that shit.
Yeah, I see bullets in the designer toy world, and I always go back to thinking of the 3A t-shirt container.
Well, now I'm done with what I've done.
That's cool. Like, that's cool. I don't know what I plan to do with the plan was when I get the print was to actually cast some solid resin bullets, and I don't know what I'm like. I'll have an idea by 5 points, I'm sure. Gotta. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got. Lo-fi shit. What we doing? What were you listening to this past 2 weeks? Some change.
I actually watched like a haunted show.
Okay.
Like what? And which is out of my nature.
Right.
Did I tell you about this one, The Haunting of Hill House?
Yes.
Okay, so then that's a long time ago. What else? I don't know if I've watched anything new then, because
Okay.
like
I don't know.
everything's just been background noise. If that like makes any sense, like shitty TV background noise.
It does. That's pretty much what it's like. 70% of what we watch is like background noise. That's why we watch like the old unsolved mysteries and shit. Now since I got the new Apple TV, um, it's up. The technology's updated, so now like with the old one, it was like, oh, you get to watch this with commercials, and it was so old it didn't actually stream in the commercials. The new one does. So like anything that we would
Mm.
watch that's free with commercials, like they're not actually the commercial breaks for whatever show aren't actually when they do commercials. So like you actually get less commercials this way as if it was actually broadcast, but you still get commercials, right? Which is like the goal of trying to avoid this stuff. And but it's one of the serial killer ones we watched too. It breaks inappropriately. It's just like, yeah. So it just like all of a sudden, like we'll talk about how he's going down this deep hill and then no tide plus blah blah blah. It's like it's
Well, Hulu just reminded me that I've been watching for my shit. I was like, what can I even share? So for my shitty TV, I've been watching Married at First Sight,
okay. Oh my gosh.
which is just great noise because it's just like every so often you look up and you go,
Okay.
you just keep going. It's just noise. It's just noise. And then let's see. I watched some Christmas shit like on Netflix and whatever. But lots of like murder stuff. I feel like it's really never gonna be different for me. Like the confession tapes, I've watched like that. I've been watching House of Secrets, Monsters Inside. Like it's all just like
Um,
people be murdering people. I'm the worst. I'm like I have some weird interest with I don't know, with like things that have recent that have like happened in life, and you're just like,
no, like Alicia's got her master's in anthropology with like facial recognition and stuff, and like she's got a minor with medieval history, and like she's big into serial killer shows and stuff, and so we've watched everything that Prime has to offer.
tell her to fucking figure out who Jack the Ripper was. Then she's got two things that we need for that.
And
Well, it's not
but
medieval, but it's history.
last night or yesterday we binge watched I think the whole damn series of Alaska Rescue or Alaska Wildlife Rescue, which was kind of neat because I really didn't want to do anything yesterday, and I ended up like getting that CanBot done yesterday while we were doing this, and it was just interesting. Like some of it was filmed during the time of COVID, well, because like all the staff members are wearing masks and shit, but it's like just interesting watching how like these people are like they rescue and it's different wildlife facilities, but like they have a raptor facility that will rescue like wild birds of prey and other birds, other birds, and then there's like a wildlife rescue that has like porcupines and buffalo and bison on it, and like and reindeer, and then another one that does sea animals and shit, and they either rehabilitate animals to go back into the wild, or they have to euthanize them, or they keep them as educational birds or educational animals. It's like field trips and shit.
Yeah.
So interesting.
It's so funny how many things like that we are different in, and then how many things we're super similar in, where we're like, let's watch murder docs. Let's watch like, history docs. Let's watch like spooky things. Let's watch like interesting things. And then like, my ass is watching fucking like Love is Blind.
Oh,
like,
oh hell, we watched Star Wars during this 2 week break too, and we just We watched the Holy Trinity. No, so we watched the New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, and
so
we watched A New Hope and Return of the Jedi from my old DVD set because it's untouched. It's theatrical releases, so
nice.
nothing. So like I got this set that had like the theatrical release and the modified version at the time of the pressing. So they had each one, and each one, like, I should just throw the digital, the modified ones away, but they all have a red X on them. They'll never be watched. But like the Empire Strikes Back, I know that that is like the least modified of all those of all that trilogy, and I wanted to watch it to see like exactly how, just to see how little, and like one of the things that they modify, there are two modifications they made that are like, well, that's understandable. It's one, like Ian McDermott, they replaced the original guy who was playing the Emperor, died shortly after Return of the Jedi, or died before Return of the Jedi. So they recast the Emperor with Ian McDermott, who's been alive forever now. So they went and reshot that with him. And then they had replaced Jeremy Bulloch, who had originally voiced Boba Fett, with Tamara Morrison's voice. Oh God, everybody who's a Star Wars fan is because I got the wrong Boba Fett. So Tamara Morrison's voice instead. And so that's like, well, you know, I understand why you did it. Like it doesn't kill me, but like it's not like Han shot first in this fucking movie. So I'm all right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then we went back and watched. So we watched Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks and shit, and it like fun times. Like I have not actively wanted to watch that trilogy in a long time. So like getting ready for the Book of Boba Fett, I guess.
I did watch thinking of a new thing that's not completely like weird. I did watch Titans. I started watching Titans.
Okay.
Because I was catching up on like all of my like superhero shows, like all of the DC, because I watch all that DC shit on like CW and everything like that, and on HBO Max. So I was like, I hadn't watched Titans yet, and I kept telling myself like, bitch, you love the Titans. What's wrong with you? Like, you know, you love those characters. You love the old Titans. Like, what? So we finally started watching that. And I really do dig it. I do dig it. It's interesting to see like it in like human, I say human form, but you know what I mean.
Live
like
action.
People, yeah, live action, human form. Oh, that's
right.
Yeah, that's it in English, Nicole. Yep, that's it. Human form.
In English. You can words.
You can do it. Yeah, I try.
Oh, and we caught up on Hawkeye too. We watched the whole like 3 or 4 episodes that
I haven't seen any of it yet.
It's a fun buddy cop. Like,
is it?
Yeah, it's a fun buddy cop, and that's all right. And it's set during Christmas, so I guess they'll market it as a Christmas series for years to come, just like Die Hard's a Christmas movie, right?
It's obviously a Christmas movie.
So yeah. So while you were So while we were out and about doing stuff, did you get a chance to look at anybody's paintings in particular, or other people's art?
I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
That's all right. It's not.
I have been looking at my friend. I've been looking at my friend's shit, but like I think I talked about her before on here.
That's right.
Her dad. Oh, her dad passed away recently, so I've been like stalking her her like old pictures and stuff, because she started going into like mold making and stopped really like working on her own art, and she started kind of like working on like kind of like what we do with like toys and whatnot. So before her dad passed, I was like showing her where to use the vents, because like half of her mold didn't pour, and she was like, oh no. And I was like, oh, it's probably because of where the vents are. So like I showed her where to add vents. and she reported, and like it looks super dope. It was like a zombie like troll kind of doll. And then like her sister's been making really like nice art too. So her Biscuits and Gravy is one of them, and her twin sister's Wicked Winks on Instagram. But I love their stuff. We've bonded a lot, especially since like parental death stuff. So I've been just like looking at their shit and kind of just like keeping, like I said, like the algorithm really fucks up a lot of stuff for me, because a lot of the people who I used to see, like new artists that I like to explore, I don't see them anymore. Like people who I follow, like who I genuinely have just like seen recently, and I'm like, oh, I want to follow them so I could like look at their shit, either to talk about here or like to look at just in general. Right. And then all of a sudden, like I don't see them at all. And like people who I follow for a long time, I don't see like ever anymore. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's weird. Like, I guess it is the algorithm. Like when I like Walmart, like one of the things I was watching Cajun Craftatrophy, and whenever that guy, actually, I guess like most of the crafting people, when they give a bump to somebody else, I like just pause the video and I just go find it on Instagram and like just start following it immediately, because like there's like if I have to depend on my poor memory to remember the plug 7 minutes ago, I'm not going to get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Tinu on Craftatrophy was like plugged his wife once or twice, and I was like, wow, those are pretty cool. This past 2 weeks, you know, like I was doing my own thing, but I was like, okay, I painted that ugly sweater for as a Bob Ross type thing. So I went back and I looked at some of his like the way he paints his birch trees, and I was like, all right, like I've done this technique like half a dozen times. Let's just go refresh my memory instead of just like looking at how I did it, see how he tried to explain it, and then we'll go back to the beginning and then boom, go this way. And like those little trees on my pup are 10 times smaller than what he does. So I was like,
happy little trees.
Happy little trees. And it's like, okay, well, you know, it's not going to take that, you know, like there's a lot of brush strokes on those trees, but it's like, well, it didn't really take that long. It's like, you know, you're doing the same thing and you're just rotating this toy around. And by the time you get all the way around, everything's dry to move on to the next color. So it was pretty slick that way. Yeah. And and like the Cajun Catastrophe dude, he started a new YouTube channel. I think it was a YouTube, called Podcraft 13, to where like he is doing a podcast with other where he interviews other people, or he just has the craftsman on. And I think he's on like episode 6 now, where he just talks with crafters for about an hour and a half or so. And like, wow, that's and just another fun thing to listen to while I'm not either I'm chilling or just trying to do something else in the studio. So
and that's on YouTube.
Yeah, Podcraft 13. So yeah, not a bad.
I'm gonna make you link me to so much. Oh my god.
You're gonna what?
Have you linked me to so much?
Oh yeah, that's all right. Start tagging me on all the shit. That's right.
Might as well.
Chuleta, did you have a technique of the week? I didn't ask you, but if you don't, you don't. Okay, that's right.
The one that I was thinking of for today, I completely forgot to prepare it, so I'll do it on Saturday.
That's all right. I actually had like just a concept for my like just the way my painting setup is, and where I have all my paints up against the wall, stacked vertically, not even staggered, just straight up. And then like on my table itself, I have a little like tray that could hold like pencils or whatever and that's where I just like I have put all my go-to paints there, and everything on the wall is kind of like spread out like categorized in just like neutral tones, cool colors, warm colors, inks, washes, whatever, weathering stuff. And like eventually I'm going to get rid of like, or I have this plan to just use up paints that I don't use. That makes sense. It's
To
not
get
that
rid
they're
of
bad
them.
paints. It's just like I bought so many of a line that it's like, okay, I know what I like in that line, but I have all these extras. So it's like, let's use up these ones that are in the lines. Like they're over there, but the go-tos are over here. And it's found that like I have a bigger go-to section than I thought I would, but it's like, it's an economy of motion to have like the go-tos really close in range and have them separated from all the colors that I'm trying to use up. You know,
Yeah. Okay. I
or
understand.
that I'm just like, well, to I don't want to say discontinued, but yeah, they're basically like, well, I'm not using you anymore. You're just like the discontinued line, so let's just use that up. But as I'm using them up, I'm finding colors that are like, well, you know, this one is really cool, and like, and
Have you
some of
thought
it's
of
fun.
like
Like,
posting them for people to buy from you if you don't want to use them?
um, I've done that once. So like all these paints are decent quality, and I don't mind using them. It's just more along like where you have like 5 different browns, and it's like, okay, well, why do I have 5 different browns when this is the brown that I'm always using? Okay.
Yeah.
um but like I had this one company that is not the other company, that I when I buy a line of paints, or like when I want to try a line, I don't just like buy one or two from the line. I will probably go whole hog and buy the whole line, and see if I like it and weed it out from there, which is why I have so many damn paints. Um,
Yeah.
but
If you're buying
I so
all
I
of them.
right. So I bought this line of paints, and I also bought their line of weathering pigments and powders and stuff. And the box came in with the adhesive for the pigments leaked out. So in the box was all saturated with this solvent. It smelled like hell. I don't know how like the post office should have been, and it was flammable stuff. So it's like the post office should have been like, hey, what's up? But I emailed the people. I was like, hey, you know, this leaked, and I had pictures of the box that was saturated. I had pictures of the 2 vials that had leaked and weren't whole. And like they sent me the same email 3 times about when I replied, like, oh, can you send us pictures? And I said, yeah, I sent you pictures here. Here's the pictures again. And they sent me 3 of that runaround. And I was like, you know, screw that. I powered through to use some of the paints
That's
and the pigment
annoying.
powders, and it just had like this bad vibe to me that I didn't want to use it because I was so mad at the customer service experience. So I reached out to a local modeling group and said, hey, anybody want this? I explained how many I had, and I even discounted it, how many I had, what I used, and I was like, I think I sold it for half of what it was worth, just to get out of my house and get that energy out. And I've done that with a couple other lines before. And then when I thought, because sometimes I do what I consider is a great purge of getting rid of crap,
Yeah.
and I look at what I've got and I'm like, it could be a great purge, but I've used that one before. So I'm like, well, when I run out of a color down with the airbrush, I'm going to convert these to airbrush paints and then just use that. I figured that's going to be the discipline there. So,
And how do you convert them with airbrush
well,
medium or
with flow improver and water. So I
okay.
use flow improver. So I keep a bottle of a pre-mixed mixture of flow improver and water in a big squeeze bottle. And so almost any paint that I use downstairs in the airbrush, it's all thinned out anyway, but I still put a couple drops of this stuff in there because it slows down the drying time a little more, and it helps ensure that I don't have my needle gunking up. So I just put a couple drops in there. But so if I have something that isn't meant for the airbrush, I mix it with almost like a 1-to-1 ratio of like whatever model paint, with the flow improver and water to get it down to a thickness that should go through there just fine. But you know, it's not a hard. It's my rule of thumb, but it's not a hard rule of thumb because like you mix it and then you see like if it's the consistency of milk, if it's not, if it's thicker, too thick. Like eggnog, you don't shoot through the airbrush. Milk, you do. Skim milk, it's a little watery and it might ripple on you. So those are my
I
three.
like that.
Those
Eggnog,
are my three
milk.
consistencies for airbrush. No eggnog, full milk, no skim.
I like that. I like that comparison. That's actually very nifty if you think about it. It's a very like smart way to compare things, like by the no buttermilk allowed.
That's right.
Whole milk only.
Whole milk only. That works. So yeah.
Do you have a spray booth?
No.
Okay.
So what I do is I've done some live streams before of me of using my airbrush. I'm in the basement, and it's kind of it's off to the side in the basement where like you can come down the stairs and to one side is the washer and dryer and stuff, and the other side of the stairs is it's slightly walled off, or there's a little walled off section. And that's where I airbrush. I wear a respirator. So I am the spray booth. And I only spray acrylic down there. The dogs don't come down while I'm spraying. Alicia does sometimes, but she's like, if she's just helping out with laundry, or maybe she's using the rowing machine on the other end of the basement. But like the paint particle dust that I could be generating doesn't go beyond my area really, because like I'm aiming it down at the table and at the far wall. And,
yeah.
So
I'm thinking of putting mine in the base. Well, it makes more sense for the basement as well. And I have I have like how you said, like two separate kind of like not like rooms almost for where the wash machine is and where it's quite interesting. There's a separate room and then there's a door, so it makes it a third room. But where the door is, you walk in there and it's like there's an old like wine press and like a cider press, like very antique-y, and old wine barrels. And I really need to go like sell this to somebody because I keep talking about like having like some cider mill or whatever, like come get it. But in the room before that door, there's nothing in there.
Okay.
So, and, you know, this way I don't have to hear like, nah, you made the dumpster black. I was actually
funny though, like sometimes I can't get paint to stick to any kind of plastic, but it'll stick to the garbage cans.
And like I always yell at like the stuff like that, going like, you would think that I primed you with like the clear remember I told you about the clear plastic primer that Montana makes? I'm like, you would think that I use that on your ass. The fuck? And like I always think like, why don't I've thought about this, why don't I just take like my flat gray primer and just spray the whole garbage can, and then I'll hear garbage can. I'm like, you know what? Not
is that actually his garbage can or the one that you rent from the city because they have their own like fucking
we don't have that yet.
Garbage cans? Oh, okay.
I
do. So
like it's monetized. It's privatized here.
Oh, so one day I'll have like whatever company that the city outsourced it to want their garbage cans back, and they'll be like, hey, it looks like a bad sunburn. Like, yeah, whatever. And it smells like dog shit in there. Whatever. It's a garbage can.
Yeah, literally, like, what did you expect for it to be like fucking like sparkly?
I'll do that too. All right, Nicole. on that note about garbage cans, tell the good folks where they can find you.
My God, I'm banned here again for another 6 days, 5 days. I can't exist on Facebook. Not here. I'm sorry, on Facebook. I'm banned on Facebook. Instagram, the.madhattress.
I'm Rickstro on Instagram, RICSTROH, and we do this for the good vibes. See y'all later.
And don't scratch your paint.